Joe, I'm going to continue to say this every week about the state of Illinois or the Fighting Illini, but yet they're in another ranked game. This week they're going up against Penn State, coming off a Friday night thriller against Nebraska on the road. Nebraska trying to go down the last drive and score. They finally make Dylan Raiola have the freshman moment that we all have been asking about. Joe, but this game against Penn State is a ranked game. It's a highly contested game. Man, what do you think about this one going into it? Are the Fighting Illini actually real?
I'm not crazy enough to fully commit to Penn State losing this game. The spread on this game is insane. It's 17 points in favor of Penn State. If I'm a betting man, I'm putting some money on Illinois to cover. I am extremely impressed.
Well, you are a betting man.
Well, so I am going to put money on Illinois to cover. There's exactly what I'm getting to. I am extremely and have been extremely impressed by the way that Illinois has looked up until this point. The way that they played against Kansas opened my eyes, and in our Nebraska prediction, I said at the very least they were going to keep things close, and they were able to win it because of the way that they played. Their secondary is phenomenal right now. They're only averaging 12 points per game, 3.5 yards per carry, 5.8 yards per attempt. And Xavier Scott has been a superstar for them in their secondary. They on this year so far as well have 10 sacks and 24 tackles for loss. Two of the premier players that they had that we saw on Friday, Dennis Briggs and Gabe Jackas. They're good, man. And Penn State has been a hair rusty in some games. They blew past Kent State. They blew past West Virginia. Were a little sloppy against Bowling Green. If they're not 100% locked in, this is a game that you mess around and you end up at overtime. Like, in all seriousness, this Illinois team is not one to be trifled with. The way that we saw them step up to the challenge against Nebraska that everybody deemed to be so much better than them, I got to give so much credit to their defense. And Luke Altmaier looks awesome. Everybody counted that kid out with the way that he played last year, and he has been nothing but consistent and accurate and poised, completing 71% of his passes. However, I'm sticking with Penn State as my predicted winner in this, Blake, because I can't bet against that rushing attack, that offense, and just the athletes that they have at every single position group.
I got a couple of questions coming into this one too. Can Penn State passing attack continue? I think every week that they have gotten better offensively under Andy Kotelnicki. Drew Eiler to this exact moment is a completely looking human being, completely different. The confidence that he has, throwing the ball down the field. I know that last week that they played Kent State. Joe, statistically speaking, in most areas, Kent State is the worst football team in the G5, which makes them the worst FBS team in the country. Doesn't matter because Tennessee had that same game. And look, Tennessee did some really good things against a good Oklahoma team this week. I know transitive properties aren't the same, but you get what I mean. I look at Penn State and say, can you continue? Now, you talk about their secondary being really good, meaning Illinois. Joe, let me throw this your way. Here's what I think a key of the game is. They still have the 50th passing attack defensively in the country, meaning Illinois. And I question, is Dylan Raiola in Nebraska what we're going to judge them off of in a passing attack, who, by the way, Raiola had 297 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think that Penn State throwing the football is a little bit more seasoned. They have more weapons, and along with a better running game that I don't want to say that Illinois is not having a good season and that they're not a good football team. Just don't know if they have the dudes to beat Penn State, if that makes sense.
No, I think it's a fair point to bring up, and I think that that's why we have to stick with Penn State in this, because they're just the better recruited team, and that when there's a matchup like this, more talent is likely going to prevail unless they come out flat, kind of like Notre Dame loves to do. What you're talking about here is if Illinois can slow down Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, that's where they pull out this upset, because that's what they did against Nebraska. Well, they said, Dylan Raiola, go be the superstar freshman that you are. And eventually it did lead to him taking risks and making mistakes on third downs, especially in overtime when he scrambled and took that, that huge sack that he took that completely took them out of the game at the end. That might be what they try to do here with Oh my God, why am I blanking on the Drew Aller? Holy hell, why did I end up mixing that up? But one thing I just want to bring up here with Penn State, Illinois' success was because they ran the ball well. Penn State's only allowing 84 yards per game on the ground. That could be a really
that front seven. We talked about this in the deep dive, and we talked about this, and you had said that they had a lot to replace. Joe, they're absolutely whipping dudes up front on defense.
Yeah,
whipping them. Now, here's the thing, man. So is Illinois. I mean, Illinois' defensive front, man. I mean, look, dude, they're pretty freaking solid, and I do I don't know. I just don't know if I trust an area that Illinois is better than Penn State. Now, I'm going to throw some your way, and you're going to love this segment or the conversation we're going to go on. James Franklin needs to beat a ranked opponent, and I think this is a good way of doing it. Look, I understand you don't beat the Michigans of the world. I understand that you don't beat the Ohio States of the world. I really don't think you're supposed to, but that's neither here nor there. I think that they're starting to really hit on some things, okay? And I think that we need to continue to keep our eyes on old Penn State here, man. I really do think that they are on – I think offensively they're on the cusp of doing something somewhat really good in the Big Ten.
I think if you bring up a really good point here, Blake, yeah, this is the perfect low-hanging fruit opportunity that they were just handed that like, oh, wow, Illinois is ranked. No one expected them to be ranked. And they get to play them at home. And they're going to beat them, and that's what they're going to lean on for the rest of the season. Oh, we've got this ranked win over Illinois. You're right. Yeah, it's kind of annoying now that I think about it. It's really annoying that they're getting handed this opportunity to get an early ranked win to bolster their resume. Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a good point to bring up here.
But it doesn't mean that I don't think that they're good, though. Now, let me get to this.
They're a good team.
The Bowling Green game that Penn State had is not missed on me. They have a big loss defensively through an injury. And that Bowling Green game, man, I mean, you're on the ropes with Bowling Green for crying out loud, Joe. So, look, I like Penn State in this one. I just think – and I think Brett Bielema is doing a hell of a job coaching. Joe, I just can't get over the fact that I just don't know if there's an area that Penn State's not better at when it comes to talent. All right. You want to get to Notre Dame versus Louisville here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we get there – B sticks in another super chat. Says, who's getting their shit pushed in this weekend?
By the way, the amount of comments on the videos this week of people saying that they spit out their drink because you said, what was the Diddy comment that you made yesterday?
I don't remember. I can't remember.
Let's see if I can find it. There were a lot of people that thought it was hilarious, though. So just to bring that up, I was appalled by the amount of people that were entertained by that.
I mean, here's the thing, man. I'm relatively a funny guy.
Sure.
I'm a good guy to hang out with. It's just that people don't find people don't understand my humor because I'm intellectually smarter than them.
Let's go with that. That one works.
Okay. No Diddy. All right.
This video is sponsored by the online fitness training camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. When I first started talking about Chris, about partnering with our show, not only was I excited to have a fitness sponsor for our pod, but more importantly, when I found out about how he can help people achieve their goals, I was even more bought in because when the football season starts, it is so tough to stay on top of things and also to be able to enjoy yourself on Saturdays when it's game day. With Chris Gates Fitness's online training camp, you're going to be able to effectively stay focused, consistent, burn fat, build muscle, and do it with a like-minded community of individuals working towards the same thing. On top of this, you're going to be able to get direct coaching from Chris and the ability to ask him questions with an access to a live Q&A where you can get direct personalized support from Chris himself. Don't wait any longer. If you're trying to get in shape during this fall and you want to be able to do it with the right support system, head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/trainingcamp or click the link in the description. And you need to do it today because you can get the first month. Personal training is expensive, folks. The first month for only $10. when you use that code Ruffino Joe. Don't wait any longer. Head on over there. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.